Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials, and this session is meant for class 11th biology students, and this is for 5th September 2020. As all of you know, 5th September is celebrated every year as Teachers Day. So if some of your parents are teachers, and happy Teachers Day to all your parents who are teachers like me. So let's go to the today's session, circulation of blood through heart. The heart pumps blood to all parts of the body as we have been discussing, and there are two types of bloods, deoxygenated blood and oxygenated blood. So the deoxygenated blood is drained into right auricle through superior and inferior vena cava and coronary sinus, whereas the pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood from lungs to the left auricle. This is called auricular circulation. I think yesterday we talked about that, what we call pulmonary circulation, blood flowing from heart to lungs and from lungs to back to the heart. About 70% of auricular blood passes into the ventricles during diastole. This phase is called diastasis. What is systole and diastole? You must remember diastole, like relaxation of the heart muscle. So you can remember it as diastole relaxation, RD, Republic Day. And if diastole is relaxation, what is systole? Contraction. You can remember it as CS, computer science. Contraction, systole. That's how you can remember in the exam. And fourth point, the rest of the 30% of blood passes into the ventricles due to contraction, auricular systole. In this way, blood reaches the ventricles and is called ventricular filling. During ventricular systole, which starts first in left ventricle, then in right ventricle, the pressure increases in the ventricles, thus forcing the oxygenated blood from left ventricle into systemic aorta and deoxygenated blood from right ventricle into pulmonary aorta. Now, the systemic arch distributes oxygenated blood to all the body parts except lungs, while pulmonary aorta carries the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation. So, for this to happen, the heart is required to made up of certain best features. As all of us know, the heart is made up of cardiac muscles, and in your junior classes all of you have studied that cardiac muscle is the special muscle which is a combination of both the smooth muscles as well as rough muscles. So a specialized cardiac musculature is called the nodal tissue, and it is present in the heart. A patch of this tissue, that is nodal tissue, is present in the right auricle. So near the opening of superior vena cava called the SAN. You must remember this as SAN, sinoatrial node, or it is also called natural pacemaker. Another mass of this tissue is seen in the right auricle called atrioventricular node, AVN. So there are two, SAN and AVN. SAN is sinoatrial node, which is a pacemaker, and another bundle of muscle, nodal tissue, is AVN, atrioventricular node. And along with this, a bundle of nodal fibers called AV bundle, atrioventricular bundle, continues from the AVN, which passes through the atrioventricular septa to emerge on the top and immediately divides into a right and left bundle. These branches give rise to minute fibers throughout the ventricular musculature of the respective sides and are called Purkinje fibers, because it is called by scientist Purkinje. These Purkinje fibers, along with the right and left bundles, are known as bundle of His. So all these things are to be remembered for various competitive exams. AVN, SAN, AV bundle, Purkinje fibers, bundle of his. And the nodal musculature has the ability to generate action potentials without any external stimuli. This is most important. The SAN can generate the maximum number of action potentials, that is 70 to 75 per minute, and is responsible for initiating, maintaining the rhythmic contractile activity of the heart. So how is that heart is able to maintain that rhythmic activity? It is because of this SAN. And therefore the SAN is called pacemaker. Pacemaker is one which generates impulses. And atrioventricular node, on the other hand, is called pace setter. AVN is called pace setter, as it rapidly transmits the excitatory impulses received by SA node to all parts of ventricles via bundle of His. So the heartbeat is of two types, neurogenic and myogenic. The neurogenic heartbeat is initiated by a nerve impulse coming from a nerve ganglion. What is ganglion? Mass of nerve cells. This is what heart rate and pulse. And the nerve cells or ganglia situated near the heart. It is present in the heart of some annelids and most arthropods. On the other hand, the myogenic heartbeat is initiated by a patch of modified heart muscles itself. It is found in the hearts of molluscans and vertebrates, including us, human beings. And then there is a cycle which is maintained by our heart, that's called cardiac cycle. The sequential events in the heart which are cyclically repeated makes a cardiac cycle. It consists of systole and diastole of both the atria as well as ventricles. The contraction phase is called systole and relaxation phase is called diastole. That's what I said. How to remember this? Relaxation, diastole, Republic Day. And computer science, contraction, systole. So the successive stages of a cardiac cycle is as follows. First, joint diastole. First one is JD, joint diastole. All the four chambers of heart are in a relaxed state. You can see here the four rooms, all the four, two auricles, two ventricles will be in relaxed state. The tricuspid and bicuspid valves are open. Pressure in ventricles falls and blood from the pulmonary veins and vena cava flows into left and right ventricles respectively. But there is no flow of blood from the ventricles to aorta and pulmonary trunk as the semilunar valves are closed at this stage. This is the first one, joint diastole. I think I will take you back to what I showed you yesterday. Yes, exactly this. So you can understand here all the valves, semilunar valves, tricuspid valves. So first it is joint diastole and second atrial systole. The SAN generates an action potential which stimulates both the atria to undergo a contraction. Atrial systole increases blood flow into ventricles by 30%. So first it is joint diastole followed by atrial systole and now ventricular systole. The action potential is conducted to the ventricular side by AV bundle, where the bundle of His transmits it through entire ventricular musculature. This causes the ventricular muscle to contract, ventricular systole, and simultaneous atrial relaxation, diastole. So ventricular systole increases the ventricular pressure, causing the closure of tricuspid and bicuspid valves, which produces first heartbeat lub to prevent backflow of blood into auricles. Now fourth one, ventricular diastole. Now it comes to ventriculars. Ventricular pressure increases, the semilunar valves guarding the pulmonary artery and aorta opens, allowing the blood in ventricles to flow through these blood vessels into circulatory pathways. The ventricles are now relaxed, so we call it ventricular diastole. and the ventricular pressure falls, causing the closure of semilunar valves, which causes second heart sound dub. So this is how our heart produces dub sounds. So this dub sound prevents the backflow of blood into ventricles. Now complete ventricular diastole, next phase. As the ventricular pressure further drops, the tricuspid and bicuspid valves, you are able to see tricuspid and bicuspid valves, the pressure, they are open, tricuspid and bicuspid valves get open, and the pressure in atria exerted by the blood. So the blood flows again into ventricles. The ventricles and auricles are again in relaxed state. That is, we go back to the first one, that is joint diastole. So the volume of blood pumped by each ventricle per minute is called cardiac output. Now I repeat, the volume of blood pumped by each ventricle per minute is called cardiac output. It is determined by multiplying the heart rate with the volume of blood ejected by each ventricle during each beat, which is called stroke volume. So cardiac output is equal to heart rate into stroke volume, that is equal to 72 beats per minute into 0.08 liters per beat. So that comes to 5.5 liters of blood will be pumped, circulated per minute. So in the duration of the cardiac cycle, 0.8 seconds, in which atrial minus 0.8, right? Atrial, in which atrial systole is 0.1 second, ventricular systole is 0.3 seconds, joint diastole is 0.4 seconds. So 1 plus 3 plus 4 is equal to 0.8 seconds. The first heart sound lub has a duration of 0.15 seconds and a frequency of 25 to 45 Hz. The second heart sound dub lasts for about 0.12 seconds with a frequency of 50 Hz. So this is how the cardiac cycle gets completed, and the cardiac cycle helps in the flow of blood smoothly, and the blood will be prevented backflow. So this is how our heart works, and keep practicing the diagram and post the diagrams that you have practiced with labeling and understand the significance of each label. Until then,